everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is items that I have changed my mind on, some for the worse and some for the better. We have a mixture of skincare, hair care and makeup in here. So what I'll do first is I will run through the items that I've changed my mind on for the worst so that we can then end on a high note with the products I've changed my mind on for the better. The first one that will be no surprise if you've watched my channel for a while is the Batiste Dry Shampoo. This was definitely a staple in my hair care until I tried the Amika Dry Shampoo. And even though that has basically all but run out now, I still can't face going back to this dry shampoo. I've been desperately trying a few other kind of drugstore ones to see if I like them any better, because I just found that this just gave my hair so much of a white cast. The scent wasn't the best, and even trying other scents of these, I couldn't find a scent that I loved as much as I love the Amika scent. But this was a dry shampoo that I loved for years and used for years. So this is one that I was quite sad to not enjoy anymore because it is really reasonably priced. But I was definitely spoiled by the Amika one, so I no longer love this one. Then we have this Burt's Bees Gentle Foaming Cleanser. And this is actually a sample that I got through the Feel Unique Pick and Mix service and was something that I reviewed a month or so ago. When I was first using it, I did really like it. I thought it was a really nice cleanser. It does give off a decent foam, but it's really gentle, and that the foam disperses quite quickly and it does rub into your face nice and softly. I did think I really liked it. I did actually, I think, say I was going to consider repurchasing this, but I made the connection that this was actually breaking me out. When I used this continuously for sort of 2 or 3 days, and the next day or so I would get a breakout of spots. When I stopped using it, I stopped getting the spots, and when I continued to use my other cleanser, it was fine. I went back to this just to test it again and got another breakout. So unfortunately I have changed my mind on this because it has broken me out. It may not break everyone out, it may be a good cleanser for other people, but for me I've changed my mind on it because I don't like that it broke my skin out, so I definitely wouldn't be purchasing the full size, and to be honest I'm probably not going to finish what's left in here either. We then have a couple of products by e.l.f. The first one is this Pore Refining Peel Off Mask, and this is one when I first tried it I really enjoyed it. I do prefer a sheet mask or a peel off mask to a mask that you wash off, kind of for lazy reasons, but I did really enjoy using this. I did feel like it did help my skin and it did refine my pores and sort of freshen up my skin, but the last few times I reached for it I found it painful to take off. It hadn't been like that at the beginning, so I don't know what has suddenly changed, but I just don't find myself reaching for this anymore because I know it's going to hurt when I take it off. So I'm wondering whether, because of all the masks and things, especially peel off masks I've been using recently, I have kind of noticed that I've got a little sort of more peach fuzz than I used to have. So I don't know if because of using masks it's worked like waxing kind of does, in that your hair grows back faster. So now I have more peach fuzz, which isn't necessarily the fault of this, although this is the first peel off mask that I used on a consistent basis, so this may have been the cause of it. So I just don't like the reach of this anymore. I have tried other peel off masks since this that haven't hurt as much, so I don't know what it is about this, but I've definitely changed my mind on it, and again I don't think I'm going to be finishing this one off. The next e.l.f. product is one of their shimmering highlighter powders, and this is in the shade Starlight Glow. And this is a really nice shade. It is a kind of really got pale gold highlighter. When I did very first purchase this, I was using it an awful lot and I did really enjoy using it, but then I found something changed in the formula the more I used it. It's not a baked product, so as ever noticed when you use a baked product, when you scratch the surface the bit underneath is slightly differently. But I just found once I kind of got past the top layer, it started to be a bit more crumbly and give a bit more fallout when applying it to the cheek, so it wouldn't necessarily end up where I was trying to apply it with the brush. It was after I've been using this for a while that I purchased the Balm Mary Luminizer, so that is my go-to highlighter now. I do appreciate that that is a more of a high-end highlighter compared to this, which is very much drugstore. I've tried other drugstore ones. One of my other favourite highlighters is the Wet n Wild highlighter, and I feel like that hasn't done the same thing as this. So I just feel like once I sort of broke the surface of it a little bit, the formula wasn't as consistent as it was, but I don't love it as much as I did, and I do now have two other favourites that I do prefer over this one. The next thing is a Colourpop liquid lip, and this is in their satin formula. When I first tried these, I think I purchased 4 of them overall, and I really love the formula. I love most of the colours that I got, and I quite like the longevity of them. But having now tried more and more liquid lipsticks formulas, which if you see my recent lipstick declutter, you'll see I've tried a lot of liquid lipstick formulas. I've just changed my mind on how much I actually love this one. I also noticed that compared to a lot of other liquid lips that I have, this formula does deteriorate quite quickly. I feel like these do go off quite quickly. I've never had a liquid lipstick go off before, and I've had some of them for going on a year or so, and they still perform as well as they did when I first opened them. But these do tend to go a bit funny. They go a bit more gloopy. They seem to transfer more. I think they were never great on the transfer front when I very first started using them, but as of late I think the transfer of them is really bad. I'm constantly finding these on my teeth whenever I use them. Yes, they are affordable. Yes, they do last an okay amount of time, but I just don't love it as much as I first did, so I've definitely changed my mind on this one. The final product in the change my mind for the worse is the Revolution Conceal and Define Foundation. This one is kind of just about in this category. This was in my everyday makeup drawer for February, so I have been wearing it more consistently than when I first tried it. It's not a bad foundation, but I do think you have to have a certain skin type for it to work for. That's obviously the case for a lot of foundations. The shame I have with this is I think this is one of the closest skin tone matches that I've found in a foundation. I find this is also one of the quickest foundations I can apply, if that makes sense. It blends easily in some places in my skin. It blends easily on my cheeks and my chin, but I have real problems on my forehead with it. It is the foundation I'm wearing now, and overall I don't mind the effect of it. I just have issues with the way it sits on my forehead. I'm starting to get wrinkles on my forehead. I don't think they are that pronounced, but this foundation makes them more pronounced. I've tried numerous different primers under it and it still sinks into them. At first I thought it was because the skin on my forehead was overly dry, so I tried a hydrating primer. Then I tried a kind of pore filling primer with like silicone base to try and fill the lines before I put this on the top, and nothing seemed to work. It also never blends correctly between my eyebrows, and I don't tend to go in with concealer other than under my eyes and to cover blemishes, but I find when I wear this I do need to put concealer in between my eyebrows just to make it look a bit less cakey there. So I am really disappointed that I have changed my mind on this, because I did love it so much, and in some respects I still do love it, but just not on my forehead. I am going to give this one a second chance, but I definitely have changed my mind on it. Then on to the products that I've changed my mind for the better on. Starting with a shampoo, and this is the Viva Professional Hydro Moisture Shampoo. This is a shampoo that I think I originally got as a sample in a old Birchbox, and I used it a couple of times, thought it was quite nice and never thought anything else of it. I then proceeded to kind of finish off the sample that I had and found that it was actually making my hair a lot softer and a lot more manageable and kind of taming the frizz. So when I seen that they had a full size of it on offer one time, I think this shampoo is normally around £12, which for me at the time was very expensive to spend on shampoo, because I would never spend more than £5 on shampoo, but I think they had this on offer for around £4. So I purchased the full size because I wanted to see if it was as good as the sample had made me feel, because sometimes a sample is not a true representation. And I've got to say, I was so glad that I tried the full size. This is now the second bottle of this that I've purchased, and again I got this one on sale, but I don't think it was as cheap. I think it was £6, which is still isn't too bad. But say for me, originally going from thinking, oh, it's an okay shampoo, yeah, it makes my hair soft, to now thinking this shampoo is great, I actually ration myself with it. I have a shampoo from the Avon that I use every time I wash my hair, but if I know, for example, I'm going out for a long day out or I'm going on a special occasion or something, I use this shampoo because I know it'll keep my hair straighter for longer when I've straightened it. It's not what I've used on my hair when I washed this today. I probably only straightened this about half an hour ago and it's already starting to thicken up and kind of curl and do its own thing as it always does. whereas with this it does stay straighter that bit longer, it does not go as thick for that bit longer. I'm definitely glad that I gave this one another chance and that my opinion of it improved. The next thing isn't this item as such, it's the kind of general rule. This is the Tarte Maracuja oil, but it is facial oils in general that I wanted to mention. A while ago I got a facial oil in some subscription box and outright said, I'm not going to like this, I'm not going to like applying oils to my face, I don't like my skin feeling overly greasy, so I'm just not going to like it. I drained that bottle of facial oil because I loved it that much, and I completely did a 180 and suddenly now I love facial oils. I do use this Tarte Maracuja oil as a replacement for that one because that one in the subscription box full size was about £100 and something, which I was not paying. So this is kind of the cheaper alternative that I've gone for. I don't love this as much as that one. I think that was by the brand Lancer. So I don't love the Tarte one as much, mainly for a few different reasons, like the scent and the applicator. That's one of the reasons why I don't love it as much. But the actual thing of having a facial oil, I just find it so luxurious and my skin feels amazing after I've used it. I am on the lookout for a drugstore alternative to this to sort of go cheaper again, if anyone's got any recommendations for a good drugstore facial oil. But yeah, my opinion on facial oils definitely changed. The next item is another e.l.f. item, and this is the Always Cheeky Primer Infused Blush. This is one that when I first got it I just thought it was okay. It was a quite nice drugstore blush. Then I tried a couple of high-end blushes and suddenly this one looks so much better. It's a really nice everyday shade, and because of it being primer infused it does last that bit longer than other blushes that I own, especially drugstore ones. But I find this one competes really highly with some of the higher end ones that I've tried. My favourite go-to formula is the Tarte Amazonian Clay blushes, and I don't think it's quite as good as that, but it is kind of a close second. But at the beginning I did just write it off as a cheap blush that wasn't very long lasting and wasn't very pigmented. But then again, we'll say when I've compared it to other high-end ones, it is pretty good. So now this is when I'm not reaching for the Tarte blushes, this is the one that I'm reaching for. Then we have a couple of mascaras to mention. The first one is the Tarte Light Camera Lashes mascara. When I first tried this mascara I just didn't feel like it did anything to my lashes. I just didn't enjoy the way it worked. But the more and more I used the sample, the more I actually kind of fell in love with it. I've since gone to purchase a few sets from Tarte which have had the mascaras in, and normally I'd kind of take them out and give them to a friend, but I found myself keeping them and using them and really enjoying them. So it did go from being kind of just an okay mascara to one that I do really actually like. The next mascara is the NARS Climax mascara. This was a very hyped up mascara, so I bit the bullet and purchased it a while ago. I wasn't reaching for it because I just didn't feel like it did anything for my lashes. I put this in my everyday makeup drawer in January and in February, and by the end of February I pretty much fell in love with it. I found myself reaching for this over my other mascaras that had always been favourites of mine, and I wanted to reach for this one more. I did completely write it off at the beginning, and I think that's the problem when sometimes when products are overhyped. I came in thinking it was going to be this life-changing mascara, when to me it's just a really good everyday mascara. It's not the one I reach for when I want the most dramatic of lashes, but when I want to be able to see my lashes up for a day look, this is the one that I want to reach for. I then have a few lip products, and the first one is this Bare Minerals liquid lip, and this is in the shade Friendship. I think this is from their Gen Nude Matte range. This was one that I nearly decluttered at one point, and I think it was around the time that I was trying quite a few liquid lipsticks that were more drugstore, and for the price that I paid for this I just found that the drugstore ones were better. But when I've actually compared this kind of like for like with more higher end liquid lipsticks, this is pretty well up there on the list. It is a thicker formula, but for me that makes it more comfortable. It is a really nice warm nude shade, and it does last quite a while as well. So I think I just tested it at the wrong time amongst other makeup, and I said I didn't like it, when in true facts I do really like it, and I would consider purchasing another shade from this range once I've used up the mass of liquid lipsticks that I already have in my collection. And we have this Pixie by Petra. This is in the shade Evening Rose. I wasn't a massive fan of the applicator. because I do find that it is a bit too bent back, but once I got used to using it, it's fine. This is a really nice warm kind of berry tone dark pink shade, and these last a very long time. They are so comfortable to wear. You've just got to be careful when applying them. This was one that I put in my everyday makeup drawer, and because I was kind of forcing myself to reach for it more, that's what made me fall in love with it. And when it wasn't in the next month, I kind of missed using it. So I think that's been my problem with a lot of things. It's been the applicators, like the mascaras and the lipsticks. It's been the applicators that I've not liked them for, and I've kind of judged them straight away within the first few applications of I've not liked the application, so I don't like the product. But then when I think about it and I think about the actual product itself, the effect that it gives, the colour that it gives, the longevity of things, I do like them more. So I've been too quick to judge, but yeah, this is definitely one that I do really like, and I do want to consider purchasing in other shades again once I've got my collection down. The final product to mention is an eyeshadow palette. This is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette. This is one that I've never really liked ever since purchasing it. I just didn't think it was anything special, and again I think this is another product that the reason I had those thoughts was because of the hype. This was so hyped up on YouTube that I thought it was going to be a life-changing eyeshadow palette. I thought it was going to be the only ever eyeshadow palette that I needed, and I just didn't find that it was. I didn't find myself reaching for it an awful lot because I had formulas and other eyeshadows that I preferred. So what I did is I stuck this in my everyday makeup drawer for January. By the end of January, I did say my opinion of this is definitely improved. It's not my worst palette, it's not my best palette, but my opinion has definitely improved. So I took it out at the end of January, put a whole new set of eyeshadow palettes in February, and I actually missed this palette. That's how I knew I'd actually changed my mind on it completely, because I missed having this palette to reach for. I found it so easy to use, especially for a work look, just kind of sticking to the top two rows, and then it did have the darker shades if it did want to do a look like that. To be honest, in my everyday makeup drawer I didn't make much use of kind of these four and then the bottom row here, but I did have a good go at the most of the rest of the palette, and I do really like this eyeshadow palette now. I'm glad I do have it in my collection, because sometimes if I am stuck for a look, I'll kind of pull this one out now and I've got everything I need there. I think if I didn't have as big of an eyeshadow palette collection as I do, this would definitely feature more highly on my list and would definitely get more love than it does. But because I have a problem and I'm constantly buying new palettes, it always kind of gets pushed to the back. But I definitely will say now that I do really like this palette, which is not something that I would have said a couple of months ago. It was just kind of an okay palette, so I'm glad to have changed my mind with this one. So that's it for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Thanks.